You'll hear from me for a little while. Following that, Glyn will come up and give you an insight into the financials of how much it takes to run our football club, and then I'll come on and chat to you about bits and pieces that we've got going on and our plans for later in the season and for the foreseeable future. First of all, I wanted to just give you a little bit of an overview of what we've been doing over the last 13 months since the club was taken over by the fans in December 2016. A lot's been going on behind the scenes, and I think if I summarise it into 2 or 3 categories, first and foremost, one of the things we've been trying to do is to develop the infrastructure of the football club, and that is from the youth section upwards. So what we had at the start of the season, we took on 3 new youth teams, under 10s, under 12s and under 13s. All 3 teams doing really well, real good attributes. You know, they've got really supportive parents, great coaches, and their results, although it's not all about results, the results are good. But the coaches are telling me that the development of the players is coming along, and we seem to be nurturing the next group of Kai Browns and Callum Thompsons and Denzels. They all seem to be on their way through, so that's really good. So although a couple of the managers aren't here today, I did go and watch the under-10s play futsal the other day and was absolutely knackered after 10 minutes of watching that, because it was crazy, and it was, I think the game ended 12-10, but I dropped my abacus by then and couldn't keep count. And they're looking very good side. They came in on a mascot day and really enjoyed their day with the players. The under-12s have done very well. They're developing into a team that will probably join the Eastern Junior Alliance next year. So really pleased with the way that they're coming along. And we've got Nick and Matt from the under-13s. Excellent team, really producing well. Got some really big cup games coming up and very favourable position in the league as well. Saw some really good feedback on Twitter from the manager of Billericay under-13s the other day after our under-13s had turned them over, so that made me feel really good. So well done to them. Under-16s and under-18s, Phil Sappy, who you'll see up on stage a little bit later on, developing the next crop of youth players that are going to be coming through, hopefully to star in the first team in the next 2 or 3 years. Obviously the under-18s have suffered from the fact that Jamie keeps nicking their players, but they can chat about that, that's not my problem. Just with regards to the under-18s, they played Aveley at Parkside on Sunday afternoon and beat them 2-1 in the Counts Cup, but I wasn't boasting to Craig. So that was really good. So with regards to those teams, that's going well on that side of things. We still have the college team as well that play under our banner. The South Essex College, which goes across the campuses of Grays, Basel and the South End. Their team is managed by Steve Tilson, and they play under the Grays Athletic banner in the Alliance League. We also took on board a reserve side to give the youth players a stepping stone into the first team, enable them to play men's football. And Joe Gadsden and Roy Darbo have been running that, and we're starting to get a few results together now. It's a little bit like Football Idol, in that they've signed loads of players and it's kind of been whittled down, but we've seen players such as Trey and Jeffrey come through and star in the first team. A lot of them claim to Stansted in the Essex Senior Cup and perform really well to get us through that round there. So all of that's going really well in terms of the youth setup. In terms of I shouldn't call it this, but I keep calling it overage football. With our overage football proposition, you've been really pleased to see that Grays Walking Football Club have renamed to Grays Athletic Walking Football Club. We've got Julian and some of the players over there on the right. So if you know anybody that's looking to pick up their football career, age 50 and above, Julian, we're looking at, aren't we? Their youngest player, I think, is 50 and their oldest is 73. Jamie's pointed at Slabber and saying, I don't think it's going to quite hit. So, yeah. We'll leave that one, but no, effectively having them on board means that we can offer football from right across the ages, from age 9 right the way up to age 75, and they're a really good bunch of guys, a really well organised club, and they're a real asset to us. So welcome to you guys, and hope you enjoy playing under our banner. We're also next year going to have a veterans team which will be over 35s. There's a club called Ultimate that's going to come under our banner, and they'll be Grays Athletic Ultimate. And they'll be over 35s. Richard Haller will be turning out for them if they can afford these yellow cards. So that would be good. So, and also we're looking at potentially taking another veterans team on at over 45 as well. So we're really trying to show that we are a complete community football club and that everybody that wants to play football will be able to. The plan is to also try and take on a girls team or a women's team. So if you know anybody whose children or other family members play women's football and their clubs are struggling and need a little bit of support, then I'll be interested in hearing that. Okay. The other work that we're doing, obviously engaging with the schools. We've done a lot of that. We've had a stall at a lot of the fights at Little Thurrock, Belmont, Deanholm, and also we had Deanholm and Stifford Clays in to us for a penalty shootout before one of our home games this season, which went down really well. So we've been doing a bit there. We've been at Morrison's for the town fete as well, and selling community chess tickets in Lakeside and in Grays High Street. So really trying to increase the profile of Grays Athletic and get our name out there. The other things we've been doing, as you know, with charity is we've been selling the prostate cancer badges, and we've sold a complete stock of those, raising a lot of money for the league's preferred charity. And as you know, on the front of the away shirt, we have Max's Foundation, which is a foundation that funds research into children's heart disease. And I went to their fundraiser recently and was really pleased to hand them over a nice cheque, which is basically the profit from the away shirts that have been bought online since the start of the season. One other thing on that, and a date for your diary, is we are going to be on the 20th of May. We're going to have a memorial match for one of Jamie's old teammates, Mitchell Cole, who many of you fans will remember, starring for us in the conference and in our trophy wins, and was an absolutely fantastic player that went on to play for Southend, Oxford United and Stevenage. Sadly, Mitchell was taken from us at age 28. A couple of our supporters have arranged for a charity match to take place between the Grays Athletic Supporters 11 and Palmers FC. That will be at 11 o'clock on the 20th of May. We'll be doing a press release on that, so first week of February, so that we can really start to get that out there on Twitter and Facebook. All of Mitchell's other clubs will be supporting it, along with his family, and the charities will be for Cardiomyopathy UK and Max's Foundation. So Craig Johnson's donating the pitch free of charge, so everything that we make on the day will be profit. So just to put that date in the diary. Really just for me wrapping up, I think the key thing is really to just let you know that whilst the first team and the performances will dictate the mood of the football club generally, just let you really know that underneath the first team, the heart of the club is really beating fast. Alright, we're really trying to work to get this thing up and running for the whole community. When we walked out of VCD Athletic on the 22nd of April 2016, a lot of people in the room, including me, thought that was the last ever Grays Athletic game. So for us to all be sitting in this room today, for our club still to be up and running and thriving is a big achievement. And I don't normally go out on Twitter and social media and in the Gazette every 5 minutes and like some other owners of clubs or chairmen of clubs, because for us it's not about the chairman, it's not about the board, we're a support-run football club, so it's about everybody. So all you normally hear from me is my programme notes, which most of you probably skim straight past, so you can get to Jamie's page because it's a bit more interesting. Thanks, so it's a good opportunity for me to speak to you. As you know, with regards to being fan-owned, we have to be really transparent. When we put our figures into the FA to prove that we were a viable proposition and we had a sustainable football club, we had to put in a 3-year plan. So we're very transparent about what the situation is with the financials and the money. And obviously, we benefit from the fact that as a board, we don't just have one accountant, we actually have 2 accountants, so we're really lucky. So one of them is Glyn Jarvis. He's going to give you an insight into the costs that we incur for running the football club, and hopefully you'll find the information really useful in terms of taking on board what we're doing behind the scenes on the financial side of things. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming. I'll speak to you again a little bit later on. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me all right? a different microphone, so I just want to make sure that you can at least hear the dulcet tones, or whatever they are. I thought Steve was the warm-up act, and Jamie and Phil are the main act, so goodness knows why I'm here, but I'll do my best for you. What we thought we'd try and do to help supporters here tonight, which is something I don't think we've ever done before, to talk about not just the costs of running our club, but the income we raise within the club, for the club. And what we'd like to do is portray some figures up on the screen in a moment, and my glamorous assistant, the other Glyn, the younger Glyn, yeah, will help with that. So what we're going to try and do is to show you in 3 different situations our costs and revenues for running at 3 different levels of football. And I guess it's probably appropriate to start with the level we're playing at the moment. But the figures we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about, and perhaps get some ideas from you as well as to what you think it might cost us as well, is the costs of running a competitive team in Bostik North. Now, I'm not saying whether we have a competitive team or not, but what I'm really suggesting is if we want to be really competitive at this level, I think you'll hopefully digest some of the figures, which will show a bit of a gap, which I think you would hopefully accept is inevitable, but it's just to really help you appreciate the costs of, and revenues from running a club. And to try and make it a little bit simpler, the figures will be expressed as if it were a 40-week football season, which is about the length of the season, and we're going to show the figures as a weekly cost for each of those 40 weeks. So you just need to think about, there are different ways of portraying this, but we thought that was perhaps a more basic way of showing what our income is and what our costs are at this level. So what I'd like to do is start the first big income item is, surprise, surprise, the paying customers. That's our season ticket revenue and the amount we raise from the paying customer through the gate. Now, before Glyn puts anything up on the slide, has anybody got any idea how much we might raise over a 40-week season on a weekly basis? So it's how much we raise each week over a 40-week season from people who pay, you guys and girls, for your season ticket, and how much we take through the turnstile from home and away supporters. Anybody got any idea what that might be? It's not a trick question, it's just to try and see if anybody has thought about how much might we raise for the season, how much might that equate to for per week over 40 weeks.
Phil, you got any idea?
£500?
That's not bad. That's not bad. Look, this isn't a test. I'm not going to bore you with.
Anybody else to have a go?
I'm not going to bore you. I think we'll put the slide up. Right. So the income, and this we're talking about sort of our current level of income. Possibly it's a little bit high, it's a little bit lower than this, but I think if we were, dare I say, a little bit closer to the top of the table, I think we might get a few more through the turnstile. And I'm not knocking management and players on this. We are 10th in our league. We played 2 or 3 games more than most of the others, but we're not in that top echelon. We're certainly not at the bottom. But to be competitive, I think we would be needing to raise a little bit more than this, actually. And at the moment, we probably raise a little bit less. So that's the first major item, that's £750 a week. The next thing we do is fundraising, and that includes 12-man scheme, community chest tickets, donations that we receive, functions that we have where we can raise a few pounds without having our own bar, presentation night, race night, and whatever. So, fundraising. I'm not going to do this for every single item, so if anybody wants to have a stab at how much they think we might raise on that side of things per week over a 40-week season, just have a go. Anybody? 200. Let's have the figure, please. £600. So there's quite a lot of money that is coming in through the club, to the club. The 12-man scheme has been really quite successful. We do get donations, we raise money through the community chest, etc., and the other things that I mentioned. So that's another fairly significant amount of income that we raise. The third item is sponsorship, which covers company sponsorship that we're able to get, companies. Colin here does a lot of fundraising for us, selling advertising space in the programme and around the ground. There's also FA sponsorship, which regrettably only happens if you win a football match, which is my big beef with the FA about the trophy and the FA Cup. If you lose in both of those competitions, and sorry to remind everybody here, but last season we lost in every single cup at the first hurdle, whether it was FA Cup or Senior Cup, and we really got nothing other than a very small gate share from the trophy, a couple of trophy replay as well, and an FA Cup game that we lost, unfortunately. But there is a certain amount of money coming through there, and Glyn's now going to tell us what it is. It's another £600, so we're doing quite well with company sponsorship, local businesses. It's about over £20,000 for the whole of the year, and that does include some FA Cup prize money, which thankfully we did get this year, Jamie. Well done, you and the players. Right, the fourth one is the ground and programme advertising. Let's just quickly go on to that one, I think. That's £200. Sorry, that wasn't included in the previous figure, so a lot of that has been Colin over there, tramping the streets, knocking on doors, to the people that he's got to know over the last few years, raising money for us through programme and ground advertising. Finally, membership fees is the other amount of income, which, again, I think we'll just display the figure, please. That's £100 a week. That's about £4,000 over the year. That's the £30 a head that you people, most of you, hopefully nearly already, pay to be members of the club. So, in total, that gives us £2,250 income to play with per week over that football season. So, quickly on to the costs now. What does it cost us to run the club? Okay, what's the biggest single cost you think we have running our football club? Somebody said chairman's wages. I don't think that was right. Okay, it's the players' expenses, management of players, travelling costs, etc. And again, over a 40-week season. Anybody want to have a little stab at that one? It's the most significant item we're going to put up here, actually.
Anybody?
1,500.
Anyone?
1,500.
Thank you. Any advance on 1,500? Don't go down, don't go down.
No? Anyone? We're having an argument over by the bar.
The finance director of the club said £2,000. How did he know
What
that?
about the players? Bish.
I'll say about 2006 each.
Oh. I think we're paying you too much, Bish. Right, let's have a look. This is not our specific cost. Let's just be a little bit clear. It's around the area of our cost, but it's not specifically this. And it's trying to portray a figure that we think would put us in a competitive position in the league, but not necessarily winning it, and certainly not being at the bottom of it. So, secondly, on costs, we've got ground and pitch hire. Let's just display that one. That's a significant amount of money that we're having to pay out for hiring of pitches, not one pitch, this is not just Parkside, this is other pitches that we have to hire for various, whether it's training, whether it's matches for some of our teams. So that's another fairly significant outlay that we have. Next one we have, tell me Glyn, what is it? Let's just have a look. Kits and footballs, 150 quid, 6,000 odd pounds a year. That's to put the teams out in looking very nicely dressed. Next we had match officials, boardroom hospitality, food, another £150. It has to be spent. If we don't have referees, we don't have a match. But there is always an argument about whether we need to provide boardroom hospitality, because it is just a cost. We enjoy it when we go away, but I think some of us think that it's something we could do without, provided we feed the players, of course, to what they've been doing during the game. But for everybody else, I think we should be quite capable of providing our own food, except Glyn, by the looks of it. Okay, anything else? League, cup fees and sundries, not very much there. It's still another couple of £1,000 to be in a league at all, and various other competitions. So that gives us a grand total at this point of £3,000. We also we as a club can also raise money, and do raise money, through the purchase of community shares, which has been moderately successful. It started us off to get us through the league, the FA hurdle of becoming a supporter-owned football club, and we've been trying to raise rather more since then, and as you'll see with the figure, that's a gap that we're showing before community shares. Let's get it in order. Income, expenditure, gap. We then raise about £10,000 from community shares, which is not part of our normal revenue, but is money that comes into the club. So that gap after those shares is £500 a week over a 40-week football season. So what we're really saying is that we're about £20,000 short to be a truly competitive side at the level we play at the moment. I hope that surprises a few people. It's quite a lot of money, but that's our judgment. That's what we would need to be more competitive than we are. So then try to look at it in a slightly different way. What if we ever got ourselves into a situation where, I guess this would be with a new ground, where we could be pushing on and working up to the top of this league and then into the next league? What about the costs and revenues from being in the Bostik Premier Division? A step up. And I think you'll see it is quite a step up when we start to look at this. So can we just start going through the numbers? So we think we've raised a bit more money there. We think we fundraise a little bit more because there'll be a few more people hopefully coming to watch and supporting what we're doing. Sponsorship again, we think we do a little bit better there. Advertising, ground and programme and membership fees, total of 2,600. Okay, so that's a little bit more than we were showing as a Bostik North side, but not significant really. It's not a significantly increased figure because we wouldn't expect to be raising that much more. Now let's hit you with the costs. Right, that's a big increase, but we think, from our knowledge of what we know about the next level, we think we could be competitive, not winning, but competitive, but that's quite an additional cost that we think we'd have to bear. The next ones run through fairly easily, and we get to a total, 4,400, and a gap of £1,800. We think we might sell a few more community shares, so the gap after that is £1,500 a week, £60,000 a season. That's a big amount of money to fill if we were ever in that position, which one day obviously we hope to be in that position again, but perhaps that's a more medium-term and immediate target. Just, if I haven't bored you completely already, probably have, one more slide to look at a situation we don't really want to contemplate. So we've looked at the current level, we've looked at one level above. Heaven forbid, Essex Senior League, one level below. But let's have a quick run through what we think would be competitive there. At least this is showing a competitive team, we think. not so much through the gate, fundraising or anything really, and the total is there. And the expenditure. So we've got obviously a cost in relation to players, but it's a very limited travel expense we'd be paying to a group of players who are willing to perform at that level for little financial return. We think we raise a little in community shares and there'd be a gap of zero. So, you know, we could just about be competitive at that level, but I don't really want to dwell on that, frankly. So I hope at least that's giving you a bit of a flavour and a feeling for what the revenues are and what the costs are. They're not specific, they're broadly based, but they're there or thereabouts, we think. And frankly, it's only with your help and support that we can maintain even where we are at the moment, let alone thinking about something better. We hope, obviously the key to the future is about the ground situation. I know we've been saying it for perhaps too long almost, but we are still hoping for some positive news via the medical school. There's even been a small development this week which may be very positive for us, but we're not in a position to say anything other than we're still working with Glyn Medical School, and we hope that we can eventually have a plot of land with them that means they can have their new school and we can have our new sporting facility. So that's really all I want to say. Between now and that great situation about having our own ground, we just need your help really to do what you can do. But before I hand over to Steve to talk a bit more about that, there's one final slide which I found this quote just a couple of days ago actually, and I thought it was worth just showing it to you guys and girls. I don't know how easy it is to read it because of the background, but it says football isn't a TV show. It wasn't invented by Sky in 1992. It's the click of the turnstile, the taste of Bovril, I think it is. And it goes on, the coldness of the crushed barrier, all the reading of the programme I list down, that's obviously very important. Meeting your mates, the warmth of the scarf around your neck, the memories you make, the terraces you stand on, the hope and despair, nothing beats being there. And it's just a plea, just come along, join us at a game, tell all your friends how important their support is for our future. Right, I'll hand over to Steve again.
Just wanted to talk about a couple of aspects that Glyn touched upon. First of all, he talked about the membership shares, the voting shares. This is really, really critical for us as a club. When we talk to people at the council, it's really good for us to be able to tell them how many shareholders we have, how many people have bought into our community football club. So obviously we started off with our 225 or whatever we were at, and renewals we did okay. A few people dropped out because there was a little bit of a perception that the job was done, the club was saved, and some people didn't renew their shares with us. But we've got some new people that have come on board. So it's really important for people to have their share within Grays Athletic Football Club, because there's going to be decisions that are going to need to be made about our progress and where we're going and where we play in the future. You know, there could be contentious issues, whereas people have always talked about clubs merging in Thurrock. People always talk about, do we accept outside investment? If a Glyn Champion character came along, would we accept it? Some clubs have, some clubs haven't, but it's important that you hold a share, so when issues come up that are really an integral part of how we progress, you are able to cast your vote about the future of the club. Okay, so I would encourage the walking football guys, you know, if you're looking for, you know, to march forward with us and, you know, work with us and improve your situation with the number of players that you have. You know, it's important that you guys at the youth set up and people such as the parents and the players all become shareholders in our big organisation, because it makes a big difference and everybody can play a part. You know, little Johnny who plays for the under-10s, if he wants to be a shareholder, he can be for £10 per year. He's not going to be able to vote on the financials and all the other aspects, but it will be something to make him belong to the football club. So having the number of shareholders is important because, you know, when you're sitting in those meetings, it makes a big difference to say we've got more shareholders than most of the clubs in Thurrock have in the way of attendances. So that's an important aspect. On the community shares, this is a real big one. I mean, obviously from the point of view of when the FA said to us, well, if you actually want to take the club over, you've got to have £30,000 worth of shares being sold. So the fact that we raised 46,000 from the sale of shares when we launched the community football club was absolutely massive. But you can see from the slides that Glyn has put up that we still need to be looking at trying to raise more from community shares. If every one of our 200 shareholders added another 200 quid into their community share holdings, then that would make 40 grand, and it would make a big, big difference to us moving forward in respect of being able to potentially progress to the next level, but, you know, maybe more importantly, things that we need to do when we do get our own ground. So community shares are really important. If you're in the room and you're lucky enough to be sitting on 3 grand in your bank account, you're getting about 15 quid a year interest. Enough to probably go and get yourself a bargain bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken if you're lucky. If you invest that money with us, you hold your shares for 3 years. After 3 years, you can request that the club pays you interest on those community shares at a maximum level of 2% above the Bank of England base rate. Okay? I work as a financial advisor, by the way, I'm boring as anything. But you can, after 3 years, ask for 2.5% interest. So you get 75 quid a year, you get 5 bargain buckets from KFC. But what I'm saying to you is, if that money's not doing anything for you, invest in your local football club. What better thing can you actually have? You know, for me, the Grays Athletic at the moment is the fact that over the weekend about 140 footballers try out in our colours and play, and that to me that's a good investment. But it's not all about, you know, people putting money in that they haven't got. It's if you've got it, because a lot of people I know, you know, that don't necessarily have the money to back Grays and buy shares and put money and donations in, but they give us time. So there's a lot of people that do that, and they're really appreciated as well. The other thing that Glyn touched on was the 12th man. Of course, the 12th man this year is on track to give us an absolute record return. Even though we haven't won as many games as Jamie would have liked, you know, we've scored quite a lot of goals because we've got sponsorship for goals, we've got sponsorship for clean sheets, we've got sponsorship for wins. And as a football club, on our 12th man scheme, we near enough match Dulwich Hamlet. So that gives you an idea of how much, you know, the fans raise between them. You know, it's an absolutely fantastic amount, but we still need more people to get involved with it. You can sponsor absolutely anything. You can do wins, you can do goals, you can do draws, you can do clean sheets. If you want to sponsor Bish for goals, you can sponsor him. If you want to sponsor Addy Cole for 35-yard strikes at Haringey, then you can sponsor him tonight, and I'll take 20 quid off you for that one. But it's essentially, you can sponsor anything that you want to sponsor on the 12th man, and there's some forms over there on the desk. And you can sponsor yellow cards if you want. So that'll be, make sure you're in steady employment and that your income exceeds your expenditure. So from my point of view, I think just wanted to say that I do hear a lot of people saying, well, as soon as Grays get back to Grays, I'll really get behind them and all that, but that's not really the point. You know, when Grays get back to Grays, we'll be running a fantastic football club in a brilliant facility, and we'll be ticking over income and being successful and moving up the leagues. We'll be doing all of that. We won't necessarily need people to be putting in thousands of pounds, we just need them to turn up at games. What we need is money now, because we are probably looking at our 3-year survival plan that we set out now becoming, because of the delay on the ground, now becoming a 4-year survival plan. Okay? And we're probably, you know, coming up for 2 years through that 4-year survival plan. So we need your help over the next 2 years. So anything you can do to give us more support, be it financial, be it your time, be it finding sponsors, be it bringing along your friends and family and getting them involved with our football club, everything you do would be really, really appreciated. So I thank you for your attendance tonight. Please make sure that you drink as much as you possibly can. Tony Packer is tonight starring as pub landlord Al Murray, and he will make sure that you get a lager. And And he's actually got Rebecca there as well. So, but if you want to drink from Rebecca, make sure it's quick, because I've seen how much red wine she's nipped already. So please fill your glasses, have some food, enjoy the Q&A that's coming up with Jamie Slapper, Jamie Stewart and Phil Sacchi, and I look forward to speaking to you later. Cheers.